Have you ever wondered why some people stay strong even when life breaks them, while others give up at the first sign of trouble? Why do some people find light even in their darkest moments, while others stay stuck in darkness forever? Why does one person lose everything and still smile, while another has everything and still suffers? The answer is simple but powerful. Happiness is not about what happens to you. Happiness is about how you respond to what happens to you. When life hurts, most people think happiness is impossible. They think you must wait for the pain to end before you can be happy again. They believe you must fix everything before you can feel good. But this is not true. Real happiness, deep happiness, the kind that lasts, does not come from easy times. It comes from learning to stand strong in hard times. It comes from finding reasons to keep going when everything says give up. It comes from choosing to see light even when surrounded by darkness. You start wondering, why does happiness feel so far away? Happiness is not something you wait for, search for, or chase. Happiness is something you create inside yourself even when life hurts the most. Today, you will learn 10 chapters that help you stay happy and positive even on your worst days, even when your heart is tired, even when your mind feels heavy, even when everything seems upside down. If you learn these 10 lessons, life will no longer control your inner peace. You will. Chapter 1. Imagine discovering that you do not need a perfect life to feel peace, only a present mind. Most people spend their entire lives chasing a perfect version of life that does not exist. They believe that peace will come later, when they get the perfect job, when they find the perfect partner, when they make more money, when their problems disappear. But this mindset traps them in constant suffering because they keep postponing their peace to some imaginary future. You become unhappy when your mind refuses to stay where your life is actually happening. When your mind travels to the past, it digs up regrets and mistakes you cannot change. This creates sadness. When your mind runs toward the future, it imagines fears that might never happen. This creates anxiety. The more your mind wanders away from the present moment, the heavier your emotions become. There was a successful lawyer named Rachel who had everything people dream about. A big house, a high salary, respect from everyone. But she was miserable. Every morning, she woke up thinking about mistakes she made in court last year. Every evening, she worried about losing a case next month. Her mind was never where her body was. She was physically at dinner with her family, but mentally replaying arguments from work. She was physically in bed, but mentally rehearsing tomorrow's presentation. She lived everywhere except the present moment. One day, she had a panic attack so severe she ended up in the hospital. The doctor told her nothing was physically wrong, but her mind was destroying her body. He suggested meditation. She thought it was nonsense, but tried it anyway. The instructor taught her one simple thing: bring your mind back to your breath. Notice when your thoughts wander to past or future and gently return to now. It seemed too simple to work, but she practiced. Every time her mind started replaying the past, she noticed it and returned to her breath. Every time her mind started fearing the future, she noticed it and returned to now. After 3 months, something changed. She realized that in the present moment, right now, she was actually okay. Not perfect, but okay. She was breathing. She was alive. She was safe. The problems that felt crushing when she thought about them disappeared when she simply stayed present. A year later, she still had the same job, the same challenges, the same life, but she was no longer suffering, because she learned that peace does not come from a perfect life. It comes from a present mind. When life hurts, practice coming back to now. Feel your breath. Notice your surroundings. Be where you are, right here, right now. This moment is all you have. And in this moment, you are okay. Lesson 2. Imagine releasing the emotional weight you have been carrying that was never yours to hold. One of the biggest reasons people lose their happiness is because they carry emotional weight that does not belong to them. You carry what people said to you years ago. You carry the judgments of friends. You carry the disappointment of family. You carry the pressure of society. And over time, this heavy load makes you feel tired and disconnected from yourself. Most people do not realize it, but a lot of their sadness is borrowed. A lot of their fear is borrowed. A lot of their insecurity is borrowed. You were not born doubting yourself. The world taught you to. You were not born feeling unworthy. Someone made you believe that. There is a story of a young monk who carried his teacher's bag up a mountain. The bag was heavy and the journey was long. Halfway up, the monk complained, "Master, this bag is so heavy. My shoulders hurt. How much farther must I carry it? The teacher looked at him and said, "You can put it down anytime you want." The monk was confused. "But you told me to carry it." The teacher smiled. "I asked you to help me. I never said you must suffer. You chose to carry it past the point of pain. That was your choice, not my requirement." The young monk understood. He had been creating his own suffering by carrying weight longer than necessary. He put the bag down. They rested. Then they shared the load. The teacher taught him that day that carrying something for someone is kindness. But destroying yourself in the process is not required. Happiness grows when you decide to set down the weight you never needed to carry in the first place. This means letting go of other people's expectations. It means releasing the pressure to please everyone. It means understanding that you are not responsible for fixing anyone's emotions. You are not responsible for carrying anyone's unresolved pain. When you finally put down the emotional load that was never yours, you will feel yourself breathing differently. Lighter, clearer, more grounded. Your happiness was not missing. It was simply buried under weight that was never meant for you. Lesson 3. Imagine understanding that acceptance is not weakness, but the beginning of your freedom. Most of your suffering comes from resisting reality. Many people misunderstand acceptance. They think accepting something means giving up or surrendering to a life they do not want. But acceptance is not weakness. It is freedom. You fight what already happened. You fight the emotions you feel. You fight the situations you cannot control. This constant resistance drains your energy and steals your peace. Acceptance does not mean you approve of everything. It simply means you stop wasting your life fighting what has already occurred. You stop arguing with reality. When you accept something, you take back your power from the situation that once controlled you. There was a woman named Jennifer whose teenage son became addicted to drugs. For 3 years, she fought this reality. She screamed at him. She cried every day. She tried to control him. She blamed herself. She asked why over and over. Why my son? Why our family? What did I do wrong? The resistance consumed her. She could not eat, could not sleep, could not function. She was fighting a battle with reality, and reality was winning. Then one day, her therapist said something that changed everything. "Jennifer, your son is an addict. That is the truth. Fighting this truth is what is destroying you, not the truth itself. Acceptance does not mean you stop helping him. It means you stop breaking yourself against a wall you cannot move." Jennifer was angry at first, but she thought about it, and she realized the therapist was right. She accepted the truth. My son is an addict. This is real. I did not cause it, and I cannot control it. The moment she accepted this, something lifted. The constant battle in her mind stopped. She could finally breathe. Acceptance did not make her son's addiction go away, but it made her suffering decrease. With a clear mind, she could finally help him in real ways. She stopped yelling and started listening. She stopped controlling and started supporting. She found a treatment program. She joined a support group. 2 years later, her son was in recovery. Jennifer looked back and realized that acceptance was not the end of her fight for her son. It was the point where her real healing began. When she stopped fighting reality, she could finally work with reality. When life hurts, stop resisting what is. Accept the truth. Not because it is fair. Not because it is what you wanted, but because it is what is. And from acceptance, you can finally move forward. Lesson 4. Imagine realizing that your thoughts shape your reality and you can choose them with awareness. Our mind creates your world. One of the most powerful teachings in Buddhism is that two people can go through the same situation and feel completely different. The difference is not in the experience. The difference is in the thoughts they attach to it. Most people do not realize how much control their thoughts have over their happiness. A single negative thought repeated over and over becomes a belief. A belief repeated long enough becomes your identity. And once something becomes your identity, it becomes your reality. This is how people accidentally create their own suffering without meaning to. There was a man named Thomas who lost his business in the 2008 financial crisis. He lost everything. His company, his savings, his house. For months, his mind told him the same story over and over. I am a failure. I lost everything. I will never recover. My life is over. He believed every thought his mind produced. He followed every fearful story. And those thoughts became his reality. He stopped trying. He became depressed. He gave up. His friend, who also lost his business in the same crisis, had different thoughts. I lost the business, but I gained experience. I know what mistakes to avoid now. I am still alive. I am still capable. I can start again. Same situation. Different thoughts. Different results. 5 years later, Thomas was still stuck in depression. His friend had started a new successful business. One day, Thomas asked his friend, "How did you do it? How did you recover?" His friend said, "I chose different thoughts. Every time my mind said I am a failure, I said no, I am learning. Every time my mind said it is over, I said no, it is just beginning. I did not believe every negative thought my mind produced. I questioned them, and I chose thoughts that helped me instead of hurt me." Thomas realized he had given his negative thoughts complete power. He started practicing what his friend taught him. When his mind said, "You are worthless," he paused. "Is this thought true? Is it helpful? Does it make my life better?" The answer was always no. So he let it pass. He did not fight it. He just did not feed it with attention and emotion. Slowly, his thoughts changed. And as his thoughts changed, his feelings changed. As his feelings changed, his actions changed. As his actions changed, his life changed. 2 years later, he had a new job and was rebuilding. When life hurts, watch your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them. Question them. Let the harmful ones pass. Feed the helpful ones. Your mind is a garden. Choose carefully what you allow to grow there. Lesson 5. Imagine protecting your emotional energy like you protect your most valuable possession. Our emotional energy determines the quality of your life. Every day you live inside an emotional climate that you create without even realizing it. Some days your heart feels warm and steady. Other days it feels heavy or chaotic. Most people assume their inner climate is controlled by the outside world. But your emotional energy is something you can protect, manage, and shape. When your energy is low, everything feels difficult. Simple tasks become heavy. Small problems feel overwhelming. But when your energy is calm and protected, life feels more manageable. Problems appear smaller. You respond with patience instead of panic. There is a story of a monk who had a beautiful garden. People would visit and admire his flowers. One day, a traveler asked, "How do you keep your garden so beautiful while the forest around it is full of weeds?" The monk replied, "I protect what I plant. I do not allow every seed that the wind blows to take root here. I choose what grows in my garden carefully." Your mind is the same. If you do not protect it, every negative thought, every criticism, every fear that life throws at you will take root and grow. You must choose what you allow in. Most people give their emotional energy away without hesitation. They let people drain them because they do not want to disappoint anyone. They absorb the negativity of others because they think it is rude to walk away. They say yes to things they do not want to do because they fear judgment. They keep toxic relationships alive because they confuse loyalty with self-sacrifice. There was a woman named Maria who was everyone's therapist. Her phone never stopped. Friends calling with problems. Family members needing advice. Co-workers venting frustrations. She was always available. Always listening. Always helping. She thought this made her a good person, but it was destroying her. She had no energy left for her own life. She was exhausted, anxious, depressed. She could not understand why. A counselor told her something that changed her perspective. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot be strong for others when you are weak within yourself. Protecting your energy is not selfish. It is wisdom. Maria started setting boundaries. She turned off her phone at night. She said no to people who only took and never gave. She stopped letting everyone dump their problems on her. She created space for silence and rest. At first, some people were upset. How dare she not be available all the time? But the people who truly cared understood. And Maria realized something important. The people who got angry when she set boundaries were the ones who benefited from her having none. When she protected her energy, her life improved. Her mood improved. Her health improved. She had energy for her own dreams again. When life hurts, protect your energy. Not every conversation needs your response. Not every insult deserves your attention. Not every request requires your yes. Your emotional energy is your most valuable resource. Guard it carefully. Lesson 6. Imagine understanding that happiness is not something you chase, but something you create by letting go of inner resistance. One of the most misunderstood truths about happiness is the belief that it is something you must chase, find, or earn. People spend years running after happiness. The harder they chase it, the faster it moves away. But happiness is not something outside of you. Inner resistance is the invisible force that destroys peace. It is the voice inside you that says, I should be somewhere else by now. I should not feel this way. My life should look different. Resistance turns small problems into heavy suffering by creating a mental battle with reality. There was a businessman named Kevin who lost his job at 50 years old. For months, he resisted this reality. This should not have happened to me. I worked so hard. I gave them 20 years. This is not fair. I should not be unemployed at this age. His resistance created enormous suffering. He was not just dealing with losing his job. He was dealing with his mental war against losing his job. His wife finally told him, Kevin, you lost your job. That is a fact. Fighting this fact is not bringing your job back. It is just making you miserable. Kevin was defensive at first, but he sat with her words, and he realized she was right. He was making his suffering worse by resisting what was. He decided to stop resisting. He accepted the reality. I lost my job. This is what happened. I cannot change it. Now what will I do? The moment he stopped resisting, the suffering decreased. He could think clearly again. He started looking for new opportunities. He explored different careers. He discovered skills he never used before. 6 months later, he started his own consulting business. A year later, he was making more money and was happier than he had been in his corporate job. He looked back and realized his resistance was what kept him stuck. The moment he let go of resistance, he could finally move forward. Letting go of resistance does not mean giving up. It means allowing life to flow without trying to control every detail. It means understanding that emotions come and go, that circumstances rise and fall, that nothing in life stays the same forever. When life hurts, notice where you are resisting. Notice where you are fighting reality, and gently let go. Not because you approve of what happened, but because resistance creates suffering, and letting go creates space for peace. Lesson 7. Imagine practicing gratitude not because life is perfect, but because your perspective becomes wiser. Gratitude is one of the most powerful paths to happiness. Most people misunderstand gratitude. They think gratitude is something you practice when everything is going well. Deeper form of gratitude happens in the small, silent moments. When you notice the calmness of your breath. When you appreciate that you are still here, still learning, still capable of growing. Gratitude shifts your focus from what is missing to what is present. From what is broken to what still works. From what you lost to what you still have. This shift seems small, but it transforms everything. There is a story of 2 monks who were imprisoned during war. They were kept in a small, dark cell, given little food, treated harshly. The first monk was miserable every day. He complained constantly. This is terrible. Why did this happen to us? We will die here. There is nothing good about this. He became weaker and weaker. Eventually, he died. The second monk survived years in that same cell. When asked how, he said, Every day, I found something to be grateful for. Some days, it was a ray of sunlight through the crack in the wall. Some days, it was that I was still breathing. Some days, it was that my mind was still free even though my body was imprisoned. Finding that one thing each day kept me alive. It reminded me that even in darkness, some light remains. There was also a woman named Linda who was diagnosed with cancer. Stage 3. Aggressive. The treatment was brutal. Chemotherapy made her so sick she could barely move. She lost her hair, her strength, her hope. One night, lying in the hospital, she thought about giving up. Then she remembered something her grandmother used to say. Even in the worst storm, you can find one thing to be grateful for. So Linda started. I am grateful for the nurse who was kind to me today. I am grateful my sister is here with me. I am grateful for this warm blanket. I am grateful I can still see the sunrise. It seemed silly at first. How could gratitude matter when she was so sick? But she kept doing it. Every night, she wrote 3 things she was grateful for. And slowly, something shifted. The cancer was still there. The treatment was still hard. But she felt less crushed by it. She started noticing moments of beauty, even in the hospital. A kind smile. A gentle touch. A good conversation. She survived. 5 years later, in remission, she said, Gratitude did not cure my cancer, but it saved my spirit when cancer tried to destroy it. When life hurts, practice gratitude. Not fake positivity. Real gratitude. Find one small thing each day to appreciate. Your breath. Your ability to try again tomorrow. A moment of kindness. A lesson learned. These small recognitions will not fix everything, but they will give you strength to keep going. Lesson 8. Imagine finding peace not through possessing and controlling, but through detachment. Human beings suffer because the mind attaches itself to everything it touches. You attach yourself to people, to outcomes, to expectations, to identities. And the moment you attach, you become emotionally dependent on something you cannot fully control. Detachment is not about abandoning life or not caring. It is the art of living fully without gripping too tightly. Most suffering begins when your mind demands permanence in a world built on impermanence. You want relationships to stay the same forever. You want feelings to last exactly as they are. You want situations to unfold exactly the way you imagine. But life does not operate this way. Everything moves, changes, and evolves. There was a man named Richard who was obsessed with his career. His entire identity was his job. He worked 70 hours a week. He missed his children growing up. He neglected his health. He had no hobbies, no friends outside work. Everything was about the company. When people asked who he was, he said, "I am the VP of marketing at." His whole self-worth was attached to his position. Then the company downsized. He lost his job, and he completely fell apart. He did not know who he was without that title. He felt worthless, empty, lost. He became severely depressed because he had attached his entire identity to something external. When it was gone, he felt like he disappeared too. Through therapy, he learned about detachment. His therapist explained, "You are not your job. You are not your title. You are not what you do. You are a human being with value that exists independent of any role or achievement. When you attach your worth to external things, you give those things power to destroy you when they change." Richard slowly learned to detach. He started defining himself differently, not by what he did, but by who he was. A father, a husband, a person with kindness, a person with resilience, a person with interests beyond work. He found a new job, but he did not attach his identity to it. He worked reasonable hours. He spent time with family. He developed hobbies. He built a life that did not depend on one thing. Years later, he said, "Losing my job was the best thing that happened to me. It forced me to learn detachment. Now I enjoy my work, but I am not my work. I love my family, but I know they are their own people. I appreciate good moments, but I do not cling to them. This detachment has given me more peace than I ever had when I was successfully attached to everything." When life hurts, practice detachment. Enjoy what you have without gripping it. Love people without needing to own them. Appreciate moments without fearing their end. Hold life with open palms, not clenched fists. Lesson 9. Imagine finding the courage to stop running from yourself and face your inner world. A person cannot find true happiness until they stop running from themselves. Most people spend their entire lives avoiding their inner world. They distract themselves with noise, with work, with people, with entertainment. They keep themselves busy not because they enjoy it, but because silence forces them to meet the parts of themselves they have buried. You cannot heal what you refuse to face. You cannot grow from what you constantly avoid. Running from yourself takes many forms. Some people drown themselves in overthinking. Some hide behind anger, so they do not have to feel sadness. Some jump from one distraction to another. Every avoidance keeps you stuck in suffering. There was a man named Daniel who lost his daughter in a car accident. She was 7 years old. The pain was unbearable. For 5 years, he ran from it. He worked constantly. He drank heavily. He kept himself busy every moment. He never talked about her. He removed all her photos from the house. He avoided anything that reminded him of her. He thought if he ran fast enough, the pain would not catch him. But the pain was always there. It showed up in his anger, in his insomnia, in his anxiety, in his deteriorating health. Running from it was destroying him. His wife finally convinced him to see a therapist. The therapist said something that terrified him. "You need to stop running. You need to sit with this pain. Face it. Feel it." Daniel resisted. "If I let myself feel it, it will kill me." The therapist replied, "Running from it is already killing you. Facing it will hurt, but facing it is how you heal." Daniel finally stopped running. He allowed himself to grieve. He cried for the first time in 5 years. He talked about his daughter. He looked at her photos. He remembered her. The pain was intense, but something unexpected happened. Once he stopped running from it, it stopped chasing him. Once he faced it, it began to soften. Not disappear, but soften. A year later, He could talk about his daughter and smile at the memories instead of only feeling pain. He could see her photos and feel gratitude for having had her instead of only grief for losing her. Facing his pain did not kill him. Running from it almost did. When life hurts, stop running from yourself. Sit with your emotions. Face your pain. Feel your sadness. Acknowledge your fear. This is not weakness. This is courage. And this courage is what begins real healing. Lesson 10. Imagine realizing that your wounds can become your wisdom and your pain can become your purpose. When you can find purpose in your pain, you can carry it. When you see how your struggle can help others or teach you something valuable, the weight becomes lighter. This does not mean your pain is good. It means you can create good from your pain. You can turn your wounds into wisdom, your suffering into service. When you find meaning in your pain, it does not go away, but it has purpose. And purpose makes everything bearable. There was a woman named Sarah who was raped when she was 19 years old. The trauma destroyed her for years. She had PTSD, nightmares, panic attacks. She could not trust anyone, could not be in relationships, could not function normally. For a long time, she wished she had died that night instead of survived. She went through years of therapy, slowly healing, slowly rebuilding. One day, her therapist suggested she share her story at a support group for assault survivors. Sarah was terrified, but she went. She shared her story. She talked about the trauma, about the healing, about the struggle, about the hope. After she spoke, 3 women came up to her crying. "Thank you. I thought I was the only one who felt this way. I thought I was crazy. Hearing your story helped me realize I am not alone." In that moment, Sarah realized something. Her pain had purpose. Her suffering could help others. Her wounds could become wisdom that healed people. She started volunteering with assault survivors. She became a counselor. She dedicated her life to helping women heal from trauma. 15 years later, she had helped thousands of women. Her rape did not become okay. The trauma did not disappear, but she transformed it into purpose. She took the worst thing that ever happened to her and used it to create the most meaningful part of her life. She often tells survivors, "What happened to you is not fair. It was not your fault. You did not deserve it, but you can choose what you do with it. You can let it destroy you, or you can let it educate you. You can turn your wound into wisdom, your pain into purpose. This does not erase what happened, but it gives meaning to your survival. When life hurts, look for meaning. What is this teaching you? How is this changing you? How could this pain help someone else someday?" You do not have to find answers right away. Sometimes meaning reveals itself years later. But look for it, because when you find purpose in your pain, you find the strength to carry it. And sometimes, carrying it is how you become someone else's hope. Keep going when life hurts. You now have 10 powerful lessons about staying happy and positive when life hurts the most. These are not magic solutions. They will not make your pain disappear, but they will help you survive it. They will help you find light in darkness. They will help you keep going when everything says give up. Remember these truths. You need presence, not perfection. Stop waiting for life to be perfect. Be present in the life you have. Release what is not yours. Stop carrying emotional weight that was never yours to hold. Accept reality. Stop fighting what already happened. Acceptance is freedom. Choose your thoughts. Your thoughts shape your reality. Question them. Choose wisely. Protect your energy. Your emotional energy is precious. Guard it carefully. Let go of resistance. Stop fighting life. Flow with it. Practice gratitude. Even in darkness, find one thing to appreciate. Practice detachment. Enjoy life without gripping it. Love without needing to possess. Face yourself. Stop running from your inner world. Healing begins when you face what hurts. Life will hurt sometimes. That is unavoidable. But you have a choice. You can let the pain destroy you, or you can let it strengthen you. You can stay stuck in darkness, or you can search for light. You can give up, or you can keep going. So when life hurts, when everything falls apart, when you want to give up, remember these teachings. Practice them. Live them. They will not make the pain go away quickly, but they will help you carry it. And carrying it is how you survive. Surviving is how you heal. Healing is how you eventually thrive again. You will get through this. Not because it is easy, but because you are strong. Keep going. One day at a time. 1 hour at a time. 1 minute at a time. Better days are coming. Hold on until they arrive. If this teaching has touched your heart, share it with someone who may need it too. Sometimes a few kind words can be the light someone is waiting for. And remember, even in the darkest night, the dawn always comes. Trust that your strength will carry you there.